Hello, everybody. My name is Martin Douglas. I am the host of the Rangers Rabble podcast. Thank you for clicking on this clip from one of our member shows. This is from the Review of the Bar review show. A lot of reviews, yes. But it's a brand new show that we have on the Rabble's members page right here on YouTube. So I hope you enjoy. And if it is something that you enjoy and you're in a position to and you want to help support the podcast, then you can join as a member now by clicking on the join button below the window, or in the description of this clip, there is a link to join as a Rabble member. So I hope you enjoy this clip, and I hope we see you soon
So let's take a look at
on
time
the Rangers
capsule,
Rabble
opening
members page.
weekend of the season. Rangers going to Hearts. Let's take a look at this one.
Says play on.
Are you saying it's in
Right,
front of
I've
the
got
body,
live.
Frankie? No, it's a natural position, very
Give me
similar.
point of contact.
No handball.
Yep.
Close to his body?
There, yep.
Close to his body, yes. Okay.
Frankie, and Nick, it's Andrew, sorry, checked and cleared. The arm is close
Thank
to
you.
the body. Comes for a short
Thank you.
distance, but it's tucked in very tight to the body.
Warrants!
We could probably
Okay, well, I mean, short and sweet there. If only they were all that easy. But in effect, again, the on-field official and the VAR sort of singing for the same hymn sheet. Arms in close to the body. That's obviously, as we'll hear from Willie Collum, is part of the directive that's been given at round handballs this season. Hence why that was such a quick check and clearance of that one, Robert.
Look, it seemed like the guys in that particular match knew the rule and knew what they were meant to be sort of judging it by. Obviously, the body shape was massive and they were quite conclusive very early on. So, it was quite swift. I wish they were all that swift. That maybe tells you you've got, how could I put it, stronger personalities maybe in the VAR room on certain games than others. Ones that are actually been, as you say, conclusive in their decisions, whereas others are maybe still unsure themselves and then having to get the referee to the monitor. But as you say, that one tied up quite quickly. No even talk of any proximity. It was all just around how close the body was and whether it was into the body. How close the arm was into the body. And as I say, it seemed to be cut and dry for them.
Yeah, I mean, it was very cut and dry in the end, Alex. And, as Robert said, the way that VAR operated there it sounded like a clear understanding between official on the park and the VAR officials of what the directive is this season, what the rules are, and therefore they're quite quickly, and decisively able to wave that one off. Is that the template, do you think, that they should be using where they can going forward?
I think we have to. When you're looking at those kind of incidents, when we're taking 2-3 minutes just to make a decision, I mean, that decision was over very, very quickly. They decided, looking at the replay only a couple of times, Connor Barron's arms tucked in at his side. Where's he going to put his arm in that instance? It's right in against his chest. He can't put his arm anywhere else. And I think if they used that as a template, that was short, straight to the point. They knew exactly what they were talking about. They knew the rules of the season. No handball. Let's continue on. Because all you would do with that. No, you got it.
It does show you that it is working in some instances. That's the way we want it to work. Quick, fast, concise. So I think, on that occasion, and no one here to sort of, load up referees or anything like that. We're here to sort of chew through the process. But I do think they need to be, applauded there because it's all right moaning and saying when things aren't right, but you need to really highlight when they are doing it right. So it shows you there is a competence there. There are some guys there that seem to know what they're doing. It's just getting everyone to that same standard, it would appear.
No, definitely. I think if you can get everybody to that same standard, then and everybody's singing off the same hymn sheet, that Willie Collum sounds like he's trying to get, with the coaching and the technique, the body shape. If everybody can get to that same level, we'd actually might have a bit more competent refs in Scotland, and we'd actually see. I think it was Wilf that was talking about the other night. Sorry, you'd actually see referees at international tournaments because they're at a standard that is deemed to be acceptable, not just in Scotland, but around the world.
Yeah, well, Toronto Bear. I'm glad you've asked that question because I'm not going to answer it. Neither's Robert or Alex. Let's hear Willie Collum explain to us the handball rule.
incidents. Talk to us about that. Again, ultimately, is it the right decision? What does the process look like? And is this different from what we've experienced in previous seasons?
So I said when I came into post, Gordon, that we had to reflect on handballs. I think there was a lack of understanding of many handballs that were awarded last season. I consulted with stakeholders. I spoke to the referees themselves. I also spoke to many coaches and managers at clubs about where they wanted to be in terms of handball. That doesn't mean I wanted to go so far that we were not listening or paying any attention to the laws of the game, because we need to find the balance. And I also spoke very openly about football understanding, that people would understand why we made decisions. This for us is a very good clip. It illustrates the direction of travel. Probably last season that would have been awarded, in my opinion. But for us, the key point here is that the arm is tucked into the body. The player does not make his body bigger. If the ball doesn't hit the arm here, it's probably hitting the body. And that's key for us. You also hear the VAR using correct terminology about proximity. It's very, very close. The assistant referee does very well in here, the referee and the assistant, in terms of their communication, because they immediately go into a dialogue, and we've been encouraging the match officials on field to talk through what they're seeing, so that the VAR has a better understanding of what the on-field decision is and why that decision's been reached. And here, the assistant referee is very clear, and the referee as well, about the arm being tucked into the body. This is a clear clip for us to show the direction of travel we want to take with handball. This is not punishable for us this season moving forward.
Yeah, it's interesting to
Okay,
hear you say,
well,
though, that perhaps
so-
last season.
Clear there from Willie Collum what the directive is. I mean, Robert, and listen, when we come to next month's VR review, that will be, I think the weekend there has basically filled that show up already on its own merit. But, when you consider a couple of the things we've seen this weekend off the back of what Willie Collum's saying there about handballs, and some people, if you're a Hearts fan, you might say, well, why was Penrice different to Barron then? Because proximity. However, the key for me is that Willie Collum has stated there that whilst Barron is close, it's going to hit his body if it doesn't hit his arm. So it's therefore not actually blocked the ball from getting to its destination, because it wasn't getting there anyway. Is that an important part for you? Have we seen this weekend what Willie Collum's words in action?
What I will say is that I reckon when Willie Collum was watching that game live, he thought, yeah, beauty, when knowing that show was coming up, because he seemed very proud about that little clip and how his referees applied themselves there. And, that was, for him, that was textbook refereeing, and he seemed to really enjoy it, which is great. However, fast forward 6 days later after the show's released, and we've just got an absolute circus when it comes to the handball rule. He props in this football understanding. I wish he'd gone a bit deeper with that, because I don't know whether that's something he's brought to the job, he's brought to the role, or it's someone that's been dished down from UEFA or the like. What I would say is, Toronto Bears firing up their full-time refs would help. Full-time referees still make mistakes. Referees at Champions League level, Premier League level, Serie A, La Liga, they still make mistakes. So I don't know if that is the answer. I think the answer is to, as you said before, educate them all to this same standard, and you can see there that you have got referees that are capable. But in this instance, as I say, it's textbook for him. He's really happy with that. I think he's going to be a little bit more sweaty in this month's instalment when the handball ones are being reviewed, because there'll be a lot of wincing in terms of, you've mentioned already training and, referees, communicating. I'd like to hear the audio from these two instances, because the on-field referee gives the opposite of the end up. So, as I say, two in the same game, you could have plenty to chew over with Gordon Duncan come the end of this month.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, I think Rob's right there, and I think it's important that the handball rule is tightened up, because, I mean, I'll bring this up. Aldo makes a point here. The handball rule was silly last season, and you've got to say that he's not wrong there, is he? I mean, it did borderline get stupid at times with some of the decisions. I mean, and just off the top of my head, I'm thinking, well, one I know for a fact under these rules wouldn't have been given was the John Lundstrom one that got given at Rugby Park, because it's almost identical to Conor Barron, except he's on the turn and he's in. And those shouldn't be given. It's about applying common sense, really, isn't it?
No, definitely. I think Sully's putting it lightly, to be fair. Some of the decisions were absolutely ridiculous last season, but I think, as Robert pointed out, it's going to be interesting to see this month's instalment, because I think just the Parkhead game, for example, there was 2 instances in that where proximity was talked about a lot. Handball was given on 2 instances. Well, referee gave 1, that VAR overturned, and then the referee didn't give one and VAR give it. So it's like, where's the training coming from? So it's going to be interesting to see how we can get better, and common sense actually is going to prevail for VAR, because a lot of the decisions, as fans, we can see it, but yet we don't hear from the referee until the show comes out. There might be an opportunity, to have, like, you have the post-match interviews with managers and players. What's stopping the referee coming out and having a post-match and talking about instances then? Talking about it after the game?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think we've managed to quite neatly tie the handball rule up in a nice little bow there. Let's see how that goes for the remainder of the campaign.